Even if you know how to read and use a dumpy level, you will not be the only person who knows how to. How are you going to get jobs? How are you going to be recognized? How are you going to get contracts? You need the power skills. Long term, what is going to determine? The truth be told is that a lot of people who are at executive level, they're not practicing the engineering the way a lot of you think. Most of these guys are doing these things now that are more to do with communication, leadership, emotional intelligence, and things like collaboration. Now, let's begin to highlight these things so that you can understand. Thank you so much once again for having me on the platform. I'm going to take you through a presentation, most of which I got. These are things I wish I knew at the very beginning of my career, and they have helped me. Sorry, I've turned off my video because I want you to fully concentrate on the screen. Yeah, so I wish I knew some of these things when we were just even before graduating. So that's why those who are students and are on the platform, I think this is a very it's the right topic and right things for you to learn. So I learned most of these things. Of course, some things we were learning along the way, and some things, there are some things that you are doing that you don't know when you're doing them, but that there are principles that govern them, that govern that sort of behavior that gives you success. Now, my life in terms of my professional life can be divided into two parts. The first part is my brief working experience, and the second part was being a self-employed person who has been transitioning from being self-employed to actually building a business. There's a difference between being self-employed and running a business. So, in part of running a business is beginning to create systems and have people working even when you are not working. The truth is, we are going to have different pathways in our careers, but I believe that there are basic principles that are going to guide how you do. So the last presentation I did, I zeroed more on the technical skills, especially when it comes to construction. There's the things that I'm going to address today. I've tried to invite even a couple of other people because you see them joining in later because it's not about engineering alone. So like my life as an entrepreneur, it's much more than engineering. It's beyond engineering. It is much more than construction because what do I mean? I'm having to deal with things, learning skills that are way beyond my training. All right. Like lately, I've been finding myself having to understand a little bit more about taxation. Why is that necessary? Because I'm a business owner and there's a lot of tax obligations that we find. I remember there was a time we had a very big invoice that was slashed by our tax regulators because I simply did not understand tax. All right. So you have to learn to see beyond your electrical engineering, your civil engineering, your quantity surveying, your architecture. You have to be a person that is quite versatile. And one thing that I also tell you is that your training in your degree, in your diploma, they are probably going to deal little with things like leadership. But do you realize that people like John C. Maxwell, um, the man has become an expert on servant leadership. He was a pastor of a church and then he started teaching principles of servant leadership, which have taken him to places as far as NASA, Microsoft, all the big companies actually. One of my mentors works in America in a very technical role. He has had to do a lot of training under John C. Maxwell. All right, because there is something that I want you, if you're taking notes, I want you to take these notes that your life's potential will be limited by your leadership adaptability. So, how far you will be able to go in civil engineering is not about just knowing civil engineering. How far you'll be able to go in construction is not just about construction, right? How far you'll be able to go into any field, it's much more than just the field, the technical know-how, leadership, and the other skills. So when you're studying for your PMP, somebody else, I think even on this from this platform was asking me about how to become certified. When you are studying for your PMP, there's a big section in the exam, what are called the power skills. So initially, they used to be called soft skills. So any person that deals with career development would tell you what is called soft skills. So they were called soft skills compared to the technical know-how. Maybe you know how to calculate the strength of concrete. That's your part. They used to think that that was the most important part of your career. But you see, you can know how to create, how to calculate, you can know how to run, like all the technical information in your head on how to build, on how to design things. But if you have this, you're lacking these soft skills, which are now being called power skills. So PMI, that is the Project Management Institute, did research and realized that long term, you go far, whether it is in your business or in your career, by building these soft skills. So the soft skills are now being referred to as power skills. So please follow me on this presentation as we delve deeper into these things. All right. Now, even as I begin to
Yes.
talk about these things, I want to deal with an introduction. As by way of introduction, I think the scriptures talk about Luke 16, verse 10, that whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with very much.
Excuse
This is a
engineer.
wise saying.
Uh, I, was-
Yes.
I was asking if you may turn the video on because that is what Zoom is recording.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Okay. All right. Is that better?
Yeah, yeah, very
Let me
much.
try to move my light as well. All right. So, as a way of introduction, this evening, I want to talk about your first job. And I know that a lot of us, some of us, are struggling to land our first job. All right. But your first job is it's a very important springboard. A friend of mine who's in banking is one of, like, amongst your peers, you begin to know who's very successful, who is what. Is one of the most successful people among my peer group. We were together at boarding, which is Hillcrest, and he still works in the bank. I remember when Ife got his first job, and a lot of people, and he has stayed in that job for quite a long time. No, actually, he has changed his job, I think, only once. So the first thing he told me, and when I was questioning him, he said that first you learn, then you earn. So he had a different mindset, which didn't jump from job to job in the first 2 years. He stayed in certain places, which made him to become one of the youngest managers in the bank, a particular bank. I'm not going to mention its name. So he became one of the biggest managers at a very young age because he told me his principle was first you learn, then you earn. So your first job is the springboard. So first and foremost, it's a classroom in disguise. Your first job is like you continuing your classroom experience. And I look back, and like I said, some of the things I'm sharing are things that I wish somebody told me. I look back at how I did certain things in my first job. And sometimes I will not be ashamed to tell you that I look back with shame because I didn't know better. There are certain systems that they were using in my business, in the first work that I worked on, that I believe could be very useful for me right now at where the business has reached, right? Where Sky Pillars has reached. There are certain systems, ways of doing things, standard operating procedures that I wish I took time, but because for in my case, I always knew that I was going to run my own business. right? There was just something in me that told me that. So what that did to me was that I didn't pay particular attention to certain things. And I look back, I'm paying the price. I'm learning certain things now that I could have learned back then, right? So you need to see your first business as a classroom that will teach you systems, people. And sometimes they'll even ask you to do things that might not look like they're part of your qualification. All right. Number two, you are going to build your reputation. Now, even if your dream job is to work with the biggest companies around, do you know that these big companies usually will not take you on until somebody else has trusted you enough to give you a first job? All right. The third point that I want to say on this is faithfulness will open more doors. So you need to just, when you get your first job, whatever that is, and I think I shared a little bit on how I got my first job. For me, I volunteered. I think it was in the time when Nandu Consulting was doing some work in Rwanda. So they needed to make up all the contract documents that included the bill of quantities and the other drawings and everything like that. So they needed a team quickly. So I found myself in that team first. I found myself in there, but then I noticed a particular project management company that was there, and I was interested in what they were doing. Well, I didn't go and ask the man to say, "Are you employee?" I just went and said, "I would like to volunteer." And when he gave me that opportunity to volunteer, 1 week volunteering, I attended a site meeting. In that site meeting, there were, I was just taking my notes. And I went, took my book, took some templates from the book, prepared what we call minutes, site meeting minutes. I prepared them. I did what I sent them to my boss. He was very surprised. He actually called all my seniors. They said, "You guys, from the time we started working, no one has produced the minutes this fast because minutes in construction are very important because if there's a construction dispute or there is a problem with anything, then we make reference to the minutes. All right. So it is very cardinal. All right. And I did it. And because of that, the man offered me a job. And of course, I was a bit impatient because, and that job we used to work. You guys, I laugh at people thinking that sometimes I'm overworking them. We used to knock off at 03 and used to be back at the office by 8. When we've
Wow.
got tenders that needed to go out, we would work, we would do what and things like that. I didn't stay long in that job. I wish I did stay longer because, like I said, there are some things that I'm experiencing now that I could have picked up from that job. I moved to another job. But you see, like I was also saying, I remember my boss being very disappointed, and I didn't understand. He was very disappointed. He was not paying me much, but he was very disappointed when I was leaving. And he was mentioning things like you need to think longer term, you need to think. And like I said, now I look back and say, wow, I wish I actually stayed longer. So your first job will also be about how you position yourself. All right. And I think I gave an example last time again. Let's say you are not working, but your neighbor, they are doing an extension. Go there. Just say, I know a little bit about this. This is my degree, or this is what I've been learning. I would like to just be coming and checking what you're doing and things like that. Like, don't be passive. You understand what I'm saying? The truth be told, I get surprised that a lot of engineering people are even struggling to find jobs because the truth is the market is there. But the challenge is it's not that they're just looking for somebody with a paper. They are looking for somebody with a particular competence. Which competence you demonstrate when you get in. All right. So the problem, some of you, you are too, and again, I'll say this, and I say this with openness because I think I said last time that we are no longer as a company, we are just no longer looking at entry level people to work for us because of the growth we are experiencing. We've recently gotten some things to do with the mines and things like that. So what we are beginning to realize, and when I'm saying this, I'm not saying it because no, maybe I want to approach some of you for a work job. No, I say this with a clear conscience. Do not be, for lack of a better word, I'll say, do not be too picky. Some of you are too picky, even for your first job. Like you're too picky, you're like you just want to like identify where you are, where which skills you are lacking. And also, I also don't understand. I personally don't understand especially if you're going to take a pathway like mine of entrepreneurship, you cannot be looking for your first job, you're looking for job security. You are better off looking for a job that teaches you more than anything else. Those who look for job security, again, I have nothing against people working in government. They play a very important role. But at the same time, I'll tell you, as a person who's being contracted even to work with government agencies, I'll tell you that there are people we meet sometimes in these government offices, and you can even tell to say this person has never worked anywhere else. And how does it show? Their understanding of project management is very limited. They don't understand contract administration, construction technology is not. So I feel that those are roles you need to take on after you have learned at least a few things. You've been 2 years in the industry. And like I said, you see what, the funny part is that you come out fresh from university. The first person who gets a government job, they'll look like they're happening. Let's be honest. There are a lot of kickbacks in these government offices. So maybe they're going to drive a nice car before you. They're going to what? And the truth is, I've seen that happen. There are some people who, when we completed school, they look like they were happening. But after some years, their careers have plateaued at a certain level. Why? Because they rushed for job security when they should have been positioning to learn. They should have been positioning for development. They should have been positioning for exposure. Again, let me give my last example on this because I really want to move very fast. I remember one time we are doing this project at the hospital, and we had a problem because we had exceeded the budget. The project had exceeded the budget, but then the medical superintendent looked at the door that was in on this building because in the bill of quantities there was no new door, but they had a very nice wooden door. All right, they had a very nice wooden door, but it was an odd door. It looked bad. It looked terrible. So, anyways, long story short, everyone is standing there. They're all stuck. Like, okay, so where do we get money for this extra budget to just put like this building has come out nicely, but where do we get extra money to finish up this thing? And guess what? I was standing there, but because I'd been exposed, I'd done some work with some Zimbabwean carpenters. I had known that you can simply get a door, sand it, and put a muka stain on it, and it will look as if it's brand new. So I suggested that. When I suggested that, the consultants who were there from Ministry of Infrastructure, they were like, "Are you sure this is gonna work?" I said, "Yeah, no, don't worry, I'll do it for you for free." And we did it. Guess what? When they came the following day, they were all surprised. Like, we had no idea you can. It was a very simple solution, right? But guess what that did for me? It made me look very competent to these consultants to the level that the next time they needed to do selective tendering at the same hospital, my name was the first one that they were thinking of. So that has allowed me to grow in business. So please make sure that as you're choosing or you're trying to get into your first job, your number one priority should not be job security. Like I said, I get surprised. A person is 22 years old, is 23 years old, is 20. You don't have kids. You don't have. Okay, unfortunately, again, I'll be honest, again, let me balance what I'm saying. I know that in our African context, sometimes we have a challenge in the sense that people are expecting that immediately you finish school, they want you to take up responsibility for paying for young brother, for young sister. So you are under pressure. I get that. But in as much as you're under pressure, please make sure that you have a career plan. You have got, like I said, for me, I always that I was going to be an entrepreneur, right? So that has shaped the way I did some of my things as I started my journey. I hope that is helpful for somebody. Now, let's look at what I call the three dimensions of a complete professional. When you do the PMP exam, you are tested in three areas. That is business environment, processes, and power skills. So I've actually adapted it from one of my notes. So for you to be a complete professional, that is in project management, but this is beyond project management. It's everything. right? Whether, like I said, whether you're a businessman, whether you are an electrical engineer, whether you are a water engineer, you need to have an understanding that for you to be a complete professional, for you to be a competent person, you need to at least know these three areas. Number one, which is the ways of working. Speaking broadly in for this discussion, I'll say the ways of no working will include your technical skills. Okay. Although in when we are doing strict PMP, we will say ways of working is agile, predictive, and hybrid methods. I don't have time to explain what that is. But you understanding how to mix concrete. Like I said, sometimes I talk to civil engineers, I talk to construction managers, and you're asking them the ratio 1 to 2 to 3, what does it mean? They have no idea. It's a red flag. And as a matter of fact, I must also point out in the first part of your career, especially in the engineering domain, you are going to be more tested on your technical know-how. So it is important for you to take it upon yourself. And we can sit here and complain that maybe at this school or at our university, they don't teach us enough and things like that. But understand this in the day of YouTube and AI and things like that, we have no excuse for not knowing certain things. We've got an engineering platform that is happening every Friday. Do you know the truth is, the truth be told, um, I'm here for a reason, all right? Because I'm also perfecting one of my skills. Today I felt like eating out. I wanted to eat out and all that, but I said, no, let me do this because it is important. The truth is, we have these platforms. Some of you, you have to be begged. You have to be begged. No, come for the platform. Come and this. Then when you come for, we call you for job interviews. We ask you simple questions. We ask you to read a measuring tape. You don't know. You understand what I'm saying? So you have to know your ways of working. That is very, very key. All right. But number two is that you have to now know what is called business acumen. So even when I was doing my PMI test, we there were a lot of questions that just deal with the business environment. So yes, you're an engineer, but do you realize that your decisions are affecting whether the business you are working for or working in is either going to grow or going to fall? Again, let me use a construction example. You are on site. You've not measured properly. All right. You've not measured properly the width of your excavations. I've had that happen before. People who will not measure properly. Boom, you do the work. So we come and find that instead of spending 100,000 on this footing, we have spent 140,000. So you need to understand how your actions affect the real business application. So yes, you did not go to study. Maybe, of course, there could be people here who are studying business. But beyond just studying business, every person that is going to work, you have to understand and have what I call strategic and commercial insights. Again, I'll give another example. Do you know that if you did an over design, let's say you design mix of concrete, was supposed to be 25 it's supposed to be 15 MPa. Now you, because you want to show off that you're an engineer, you decide to do, no, we'll do 30 MPa. Now, question, go back to your contract. What does the contract say you are supposed to have done? What is the scope of works? How does you doing 30 MPa instead of doing, now again, let me just use this as an opportunity to explain something. In project management, pure project management, there's a difference between what we call quality and standards. All right. Quality is about meeting your client's requirements. Standards, so like I'm saying, 30 MPa concrete is a better grade of concrete than 15 MPa. All right. But if a client it says, this is just a footway, it's just a footpath, I just want a 15 MPa. Let's say your boss is not even present with you on site. You decide to do a 30 MP, trying to impress a client. There's what we call gold plating, right? Where you're doing something that is not required on the project in trying to make a good name. Again, in business, I've made that mistake before. There were clients I decided to do stone cladding for, but it's not in the BOQ. But then you know what, and you know how we convince ourselves. You'll be convincing yourself to say, when the client sees how nice this is, they'll be impressed and they will understand. If I ask for extra money to do the work here and there, they will just give it. No, they will not do that. I remember one client, we had a big problem because I did stone cladding for them. I did this. And then because the other aspects of the work needed extra money, I was asking them for extra money. They actually insulted me. So you need to have business understanding. How do I meet my requirements? So even if you're working in Zesco, for example, you need to understand how the business environment works. You will not be a proper professional just by knowing technical skills. All right. You're watching things like the startup, you realize that people know coding, they know how to build a computer infrastructure and all these things. But what sets them apart is that they also begin to know and understand how to conduct themselves in business. So that commercial insight will make you stand out. Now, finally, what we're mostly going to talk about today is power skills. So, like I said previously, these were called soft skills, but in this day and age, under PMI, we call them power skills. The power skills are important aspect of your work. And like I said, they have got the ability. So let's say, even if you know how to read and use a dumpy level, you will not be the only person who knows how to. How are you going to get jobs? How are you going to be recognized? How are you going to get contracts? You need the power skills. Long term, what is going to determine? The truth be told is that a lot of people who are at executive level, they're not practicing the engineering the way a lot of you think. Most of these guys are doing these things now that are more to do with communication, leadership, emotional intelligence, and things like collaboration. Now, let's begin to highlight these things so that you can understand them better. First one is communication. This is a skill that makes every other skill visible. Like I said, and again, especially those that are from the engineering world, you are very poor at communication. A lot of you are very poor at communication. That is the reason why you are failing to take off. Some of you, even just to write a proper letter of application, you can't do it. We've got AI tools now. At least use an AI tool to enhance your skills and what you're going to put across. So you need this communication skill. Without communication, and I'll tell you something. Communication skills is so underrated, but do you realize that most look at the programs or people that get paid a lot of money, they're excellent communicators. Can I give you an example? Lawyers. What makes lawyers to stand out is the ability to communicate. If you're going to be an entrepreneur, most businesses, okay, will require you to be at least be able to talk to people. I told you how I won my first contract. I just used confidence. I was telling, so, I can do this thing. I was explaining. Of course, over years, I've market. I've been trying to develop my marketing skills. Right, I've tried to develop those marketing skills because listen, as a CEO of the company now, my major job actually is to market the business. So that's why if you go to my Instagram, go to my TikTok, go to my LinkedIn, I always find a way of talking about what we're doing about Sky Pillars. And truth be told, it's working because I've had people now say, can you send us your profile? Can you send us this? Can you send us that? So communication, all right? So this communication, I'm speaking broadly first before I go to the slide, is also part of your personal branding. You need to create a personal brand. Do you communicate your brand out there, right? Now, again, I'm not against you having a social life, but if you are trying to get into certain business environments and on your social media, all the posts you make, you are at this club, you are at that club, or you are the one who was dancing on the table. I hear people dancing the table in these clubs. I'm not really that outgoing. I don't go out like that, but I hear rumors that some of you, when you go out, you even dance on top of the tables, right? Now, in this day and age, people will look at your Facebook, people will look at your LinkedIn, people will look at your Instagram before they even give you an opportunity. What does your personal brand talk about? Again, people will tend to trust you when you look better. It's just unfortunate. People will judge you on looks. Now, I'm not saying that you have to now be a supermodel, wear heels everywhere. No. Carry yourself with dignity. You might have one shirt. That one shirt, make sure it is properly ironed. You are presentable. Why? Because people will trust you more when you present yourself a particular way. So in communication, the three things that I want to talk to you about is clarity. So communication is not about sounding big, all right? So if I go to site and I know that my foreman is not as educated as I am, all right, he doesn't have a master's like I have, or he doesn't have a PhD like I have. It is unnecessary for you to be using words that will not even make sense to anybody on site. You are talking about, we just want to make sure that you start using very professional jargons that are not, according to FIDIC clauses, clause number, this. It's not necessary. You are not trying to show off. You speak and write with precision. Ambiguity kills projects and careers. So be understood, not just heard. All right. So that your goal in communication is that you are understood. You have to understand or you have to understand that to be understood is the goal of communication. All right. So be clear, be simple, be clear. You don't have to become, any person in a professional setup, a person that tries to sound too complicated, a person that sounds too complicated is is a charlatan. Let me use that word. Is a fake. So don't be trying to sound too complicated. And again, I've interviewed a lot of people lately, like I said, because of some of the roles we've been trying to fill out. I've noticed a trend. You could be very articulate in many things, but you're not articulate and able to answer simple questions. That is a problem. That is a very big problem. All right. So ambiguity kills projects and careers. So be understood and not just heard. Number two is active listening. This is a rarely skill in any room. Those who listen well lead conversations without saying a word. I have come to understand that, and I think that because also I'm a very passionate person, so sometimes I tend to want to, when somebody's talking, I want to come in and things like that. But listen, it's better to look like a fool and have your career go than a person who looks like the smartest person in the room, right? Than the smartest person in the room, and then you are just not going anywhere. Actually, listening will help you. And listen, when you listen to people, it's not that you have to do everything they're saying. You are working in a team, and some of the people have got other weird ideas about what's supposed to happen or wrong ideas about how they're supposed to do their work. You can guide them better when you know and listen. Every person has got things that drive them. There are people who are driven by fear. There are people who are driven by. So you can know to say, okay, if I bring this thing to at this angle, it will be appealing. I think I made a point one time. The first time I wanted to take, the other time I wanted to take some interns. Somebody who came, and for me, I felt bad because this person, I actually saw a lot of potential in them. But because they didn't listen to what I was saying, they decided to be very quick. They lost the opportunity. Because then they went away saying, thinking that we didn't want to support them. We were willing to support them, but we also didn't want to support them on their terms. There was terms that we wanted for them. So active listening will make you, again, will make you get opportunities that others are missing. Like when people are talking, are you listening to what they're saying and what they're not saying? I remember in first year of undergrad, there was a lecture we had on communication, and he said something to say, most of the communication is by body language. So your tone. So when somebody is talking to you and they're talking to you in a particular tone, that's why you also need to understand that we need to choose appropriate communication channels. Again, if at the time I would have taught you on the channels how you select. All right. So there are particular systems you can use to select communication things. I mean, let me give maybe a light example. When you're talking to your girlfriend or you're talking to your boyfriend and the discussion is getting heated, it's better you stop that conversation and say, can we pick this up maybe on a call or when we meet in person? Why? Because sometimes when you send a message, in a particular way, it will be misread. Somebody will read it with their own tone. So do you realize that part of you being a good communicator and a good listener is you also knowing which appropriate channel, all right, which appropriate channel to use to communicate. You are invited for a board meeting. Like I gave an example. First week of work, I was taken to go to a site meeting. I knew the place where I was. There's a way I carried myself. If I had something to say, I had not yet earned my right to say it at that point. But because I took the minutes and I put certain recommendations in my minutes, which were taken up, all I did was listen, research, and came up with some recommendations in my minutes. So that's also now what we call stakeholder messaging. Like I said, in project management, we have to do what we call stakeholder management. So we have what is called now here stakeholder messaging. You have to know your audience. The way you are communicating to somebody who works in your company, this is not the way you're supposed to talk to somebody who's outside your company. The way you talk to your superior is not the same way you talk to somebody who's at your peer level. It's not the same way you talk to somebody who's maybe below, working below you. Now, when I say working below you, I don't mean it in the way that you have to be disrespectful. I don't know if you're getting what I'm saying. But these different people have got different needs. When we do stakeholder engagement and understanding, you screen your stakeholders. Okay, there's point person A, B, and C. This is their role in the project. This is their influence. This is their power. We need to inform them, or we need to consult them. We need to do all these kind of things. You need to know how to frame and position your message depending on who you are trying to communicate. Some of you have not gotten jobs, not because the jobs were not there, but you just don't know how to negotiate. Do you know that even if it's a salary issue, you can communicate and offer a value proposition to somebody that makes you see, that makes the person see what you're bringing to the table. So professionals write clear reports they present to clients confidently. Entrepreneurs who have to pitch, sell, and inspire. Your voice is your brand. So that's something I leave off. I actually realize that we have to keep selling. We have to communicate. The second thing that I want to talk about is leadership. One person reached out to me and was asking me to say, no, I'm entry level in uh, in my job, but I would like to be a leader. But I don't have the title. I don't have this. Leadership is not about title. All right. The leadership is not about title. Leadership is about influence, and you can learn to influence things. Do you know that you can even influence your boss to go a particular direction? A leader is a person, like I always said, like imagine if there's a group of people talking. The person, people, everyone waits to hear their opinion before they act. That's a leader. They might not have the biggest title in the room, but the person whose voice matters the most is the leader. So you can begin to grow your leadership even as a graduate or as a student. One of the things that I began to do very well at the student level was I involved myself in a number of social things that helped me grow my leadership. That helped me grow my communication. That helped me grow. I remember one time I was presenting in a particular organization. I will not mention the organization. When I was presenting, it was a very technical presentation. But by the time I was done, the one of the leaders there, the bosses there, said, "Ah, sir, did you study this engineering thing or you studied marketing? Because the way you've presented, we've been able to understand you from top to bottom. Like everything you've said, and it's very engaging, very so leadership is also not about a title. The leader is not about a title. You might not be an MD, but you can begin to carry yourself as the future MD. You might not be the chief engineer, but you can begin to carry yourself as as the future chief engineer. What are some of the key elements of leadership that we need to have an understanding of? Number one is what we call emotional intelligence. I'm reading a book this week on emotional intelligence. I think it's in the bedroom. I wish I brought it so that you can see it. So when we talk about emotional intelligence is not just about your emotions. It's also the ability to read other people's emotions and act accordingly. A person that is emotionally intelligent will have self-awareness and empathy, meaning they're able to understand and perceive. So sometimes people come out a particular way because the emotional intelligence is very low. Now, again, let me give an example of a low emotional intelligence in exhibition is a person who says everything and anything they feel like saying. Like some people come to the workspace and say, no, I'll just tell them off. I will. No, you're showing us that you're a big fool. You know what I mean? It's not everything you need to say. Sometimes your boss might not talk to you properly. The person working with you might not talk to you properly. It's not like right there and then so empathy could also mean that you begin to ask yourself to say, what could have made this person talk to me the way they did? For example, yesterday I found myself reacting to a person that I work with in a particular way because I realized that there were some people who behaved badly, and because they behaved badly, I'm sort of my I've been at an age emotionally where if somebody just does anything that looks similar to what the other person did, I will react. All right. So you need to have that understanding. You need to see that it's not just about what people have done to you or how they were bad to you. You have to have empathy. And this is emotional intelligence will give you the ability to move people without force. But it also make you read people. Actually, research has now shown that emotionally intelligent people, if you have to choose, of course, you need IQ, which is intelligence, and you need emotional intelligence. But over time, the number one predictor of success is actually emotional intelligence. That's the reason why sometimes you find people who you are better than at school are making more money than you because they're emotionally intelligent. Simple. There will be people that you think there are people that you think that they shouldn't be above me because you know me, I got straight A's. How is this girl able to maneuver and get this job and get that, and I'm stuck here? Emotional intelligence. All right. So you need to have that awareness. You need to always think that and understand that your emotional intelligence will take you further than your IQ. And also, let me put this across. One of the things that I want you to understand, there's a particular book, I've just forgotten the title of this particular book. The premise of the book is that you can grow any skill. So emotional intelligence is something that you can develop. Even if you are an introvert, you can learn to communicate. Even if it's the growth mindset tells us that anything I'm not good at, I can actually learn. So don't tell us that no, me, but I've just grown up with a terrible temper. I have one of the best bricklayers I've ever worked with. One of the best bricklayers I've ever worked with. I can't work with him now because he has a terrible temper. He actually assaulted a person on one of our sites. Terrible thing happened on that side. Very intelligent guy. This is one of the only bricklayers that I've seen who will sit on YouTube learning new skills on how to make sure. Because I've used the guy before. We were doing a step, like I think last time I talked about a stepped foundation. This guy did a stepped foundation for me in the hill, and the house came out perfectly. Perfectly. All right. It's still standing up to today, but the man lacks emotional intelligence. Then there are things that we know what we talk about called servant leadership. Servant leadership is not about, like I said, your greatest goal is not to be seen. Your greatest is we make our teams our priority. We make our teams the foundation of our success. A servant leader is not a person that wants to be seen above everybody else. A servant leader is a person that will serve, will go the extra mile without even. So, like I said, this is something you can even begin to practice right now in your own life. You can begin to practice servant leadership. I know maybe you have completed school and you are just at home. You can begin to practice your servant leadership. Team dynamics. So this is something that I've learned that is also changing the way I'm treating my team now. After learning team dynamics, I also understood that there's gonna be conflict in teams. It's inevitable. But because there's conflict is not a reason that we should not succeed in accomplishing what we are trying to do. So you need to see and know where is, okay, let's say you're a young engineer. What is my role in this team? Where are the weak points in this team? How can I play a role that makes me grow? Because the truth is this, I'll tell you, one of the struggles right now is that I need a strong team around me. We are getting a lot more opportunities, and I think I told you last year we missed out on a number of opportunities because I just simply did not have the right team. All right. Then accountability structure means, let me just say, on the results. Leaders who accept the blame and give the credit to others. But when you're always trying to get credit when things work well, but you are not when things are bad. Okay, let's say you are a site manager and your boss comes to site and the walls are bent. And then you say, no, 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 it's the bricklayers, it's the this, it's the this. Then you have got no accountability. Now, can I tell you something? In entrepreneurship, one of the things that I've learned is that a person who takes up accountability is a person that makes more money. Why? Right now, like I said, we have a project, let's say in Lusaka. If that project was to go wrong, my name, my reputation, my face will be seen in a bad way. But if that project works well, right, and there's money to be made, guess who's making the most money? It's me. And you can't go, even if you join the company today, as long as I'm the one taking more accountability, I'll make more money than you. It's simple. It's like that. So accountability means you are owning the results. So if a person comes up and owns the result, I've got people in my team now, I'm seeing that potential that they're trying to own the results of whatever we are doing. That tells me to say, this person is going far. You see that me increasing their pay, recommending them to be increased, their pay to be increased. Why? Is because I have seen something in them. All right. So leadership is among the top three quality skills employers actually seek beyond technical ability. So please read that, listen to podcasts on leadership and things like that. It will help you, it will open new doors for you. Problem solving and critical thinking. Problem solving and critical thinking. I'll be coming to the end very soon. Critical thinking, I think sorry, let me show you something I'm reading. Sorry about that. I just wanted to show you this. This is the Harvard Business Review. Uh, so they write these materials. If you go through Bookworm, you can get copies of these. So this is on critical thinking. All right. So critical thinking is different from just normal thinking. Let me just put it this way. Critical thinking is systematic thinking. You create a system of thinking. One of the reasons why Elon Musk is able to create so many businesses and things like that is that he's got a system of thinking. Elon Musk uses a model called first principles. So anytime he's trying to do something, he always goes back to the first principles and applies solutions. Okay, spaceships. The guy is not, and he's not a space engineer or anything like that. But somebody said Elon Musk will explain to you the dynamics of spaceships better than even some of the engineers who are trained in that field. Right? How does he do it? He does it because he is what? uh, using a system of thinking that is systematic. All right. So we all think we think, but there's a way we can think better. Let me put it like that. So, number one, you need to define your problem, gather data. One of the things I like from this book is it says think like a scientist. All right. Thinking like a scientist means that you don't assume you know okay, let's say work is not finishing fast. Don't assume you know. Try to gather data, try to gather data, try to look at this thing from a deep angle, like In my research class for masters, my professor gave an example to say, let's say cholera is happening in this place, and you just come and start drilling boreholes. That's not scientific thinking. Scientific thinking first we will ask ourselves questions to say, why is this happening? Why is it happening more in this area than in this area? Why is it? You ask because sometimes in trying to be too quick to solve problems, we end up creating more problems. Critical thinking, and again, critical thinking is listed as one of the future top skills. Again, I wish I had the time to show you. One of the things that I like about joining, being part of a project management institute, is that they do a lot of market research. So when they're focused in the profession, the skills of the future, critical thinking is one of them. Because a lot of the roles that you perform will be performed by machines. I've been able to do a lot of tasks right now using core work on Cloud, and it can generate reports. Just I give it instructions and do all those things. But critical thinking is not something AI can take over. All right. So you have to define the problem, gather the data, and you have to what? You have to generate options. What are my options? I gave an example last time again of how I was working on a particular site, and it so turned out that we needed to either blast, right? We needed to blast the thing, or we needed to just, and there were the option that we eventually won was the option of um, just using the same rock as part of the foundation. So there are usually options, but if you're not a person that thinks through things, you will not have that. Then you evaluate and decide. So you always, a critical thinker is a person that has a process, like I said, of thinking. You are looking at different options, look at different angles. That makes you a better problem solver. So you evaluate and decide. And then number five, you implement and you review. There's what we also call the black box principle. In project management, we learn a thing called the black box principle. The black box principle is the reason why air travel at the moment is the safest. It is actually safer for you to fly on an aeroplane than to drive on land. How did they do it? Anytime there is a flight, there's data that was being gathered, and they were revealing any incident. If the plane falls, they'll go for the black box. They'll find out what was it. Oh no, the engine failed because of A, B, and C. And they kept on improving. All right. So you need to understand that. So, and also be a person that solves problems. Don't be a problem. Don't be a complainer. You come into a workspace. Let's say today, hypothetically, we employ you in Sky Pillars. Don't be a person that comes and just points out at everything that we're doing wrong in Sky Pillars. Truth is, we've been able to get somewhere without you. It means that there are some things that we know. But because we know some things, we are still humble enough to understand that we do not know everything. So when you come in, you are solving some problems. You are, for lack of a better word, you are adding value. Let me call it that. Problem solving is your value. So if you observe, you are a very observant person, you'll be able to identify problems. I heard a rumor has it that the EIZ president might be coming to this platform very soon. For example, you would have noticed something in EIZ that is not working okay. Do you know that there's a way using your communication skill, knowing how to target and how to pass on your message, you can actually go to him and say, sir, but this. And you're adding a certain value that maybe he has not seen. In as much as he's a more accomplished person than you are, he's a more accomplished person than I am, right? I've got some proposals that I want to bring across to him. You understand what I'm saying? So that because the way we do it is that we just stand on the side and we complain. These things in AIZ are not these things and this are not this. I like Engineer Guluwe and the company because they realized that there was a problem, and they've created this platform. You and me are meeting because there are people who decided to take action. The question that I want you to ask yourself, don't do it just for your professional growth, but even for your personal life, for your family life. What problems can you solve? Be a person that is oriented towards problem solving using critical thinking. So in professional use, we have what we call root cause analysis. I am doing my Lean Six Sigma certification at the moment. And one of the things that I'm learning there are these things like Ishikawa, the fish diagram, how to get, because sometimes when we're trying to solve a problem, we just we assume we know what is the root cause. All right. Business, if you're a person that is interested in business, I want you to understand that your business is about problem solving. What problems are you solving for your clients? Or do your clients end up with more problems by engaging you than they had less problems before you came into the picture? So your greatest advantage will come from your critical thinking. Then there's what we call adaptability and strategic thinking. All right. So one of the things that again is being a growing type of project management is agile project management. Agile project management is different, and most people do agile. Most people, I'm not saying everyone, most people do agile. People who come from the IT world, because Agile was first developed by computer scientists who wanted to follow a particular system of doing project management that suited software development. But Agile, which is adaptability, is now becoming just also as a way of thinking. So if you're an Agile person, you will fit into other environments better. I like to think I'm an Agile person because I've moved into environments that normally I don't thrive. I don't know, but I've learned and I will learn and adjust myself until I get to that place. All right. So in adaptability, I want you to embrace change as a signal, not a threat. Right now, I saw an architect write a write-up and others were bashing him, but I think I understood his point. He was saying things like it is very hard for clients sometimes to engage an architect who will charge them so much money and will take long to deliver the site plans, and then yeah, and then they will just, it seems like most some clients feel architects just complicate the construction process and they would rather just go to contractors. But you see, we are living in a time when it's not just other people trying to get your job. There are machines that are looking to get your jobs. They are modeling. Like I'm telling you now, there's some things that I needed done in the business, and somebody had given me huge quotations for like for our financial systems, our project management systems, and things like that. I've been able to develop them using some agents. An agent is like I've literally got two agents at the moment. These are AI personalities that are able to carry out some of my simple works. Right? There are some tasks I would maybe entrust to an assistant project manager that I can simply assign to my robot right now and it will do it for me. So things are changing. The thing is, don't try to say, no, but in my father's time, they never used to do this, in grandfather's time. No, embrace change as a signal. So AI is here. How do we embrace it? How do I remain relevant? How do I remain impactful even in the age of AI? You have to build and learn agility. That is, agility is about the ability to learn, relearn, and learn. You have to keep on. There are some things that I think work but are not working. You have to keep learning and learning. Agility is a very key concept in this time. All right. You have to be very agile. Learn and relearn. Because in agile project management, there are what we call iterations. So you develop something, you develop a minimum viable product. Let's say you're trying to build a software. You don't selling softwares, you don't wait until it's completely done for you to put it out in the market. So you start very quickly, you put something on the market, as it is being used, you are getting the feedback, you are coming back and you are still developing on your. So like say for example, this platform for the engineering Friday forum, you need to actually sometimes sit down with the people. I've seen that sometimes when you're trying to engage them, they're not responding to say, these are some of the challenges or these are things that they're picking up. Try to identify maybe 4 or 5 people who have been consistent. Ask them, what can we do better? Where is the problem? Where is this? Why? Because you're trying to learn how to. So that is how you will excel in this day and then. Stay relevant, upskill continuously. Learn. Like right now, I'm taking another short course. Like I said, I'm doing my Six Sigma. Some of you don't even know. One of my classmates at Masters doesn't know what Six Sigma is. So when I was talking about my research topic, because it uses some Six Sigma issues, Lean Six Sigma, the guy was asking me like, "Oh, this is the first time I'm hearing about this. I refuse to be a professional in Zambia." Listen, the very fact that we've got internet and access to this internet means that a professional in the Western world and a professional in Zambia, they shouldn't be much difference. Why? Because we have access to the same information now. Just because somebody went to Harvard, you went to Mlungushu, you went to CBU, there is no difference. The university you're attending is not the most important critical thing in this day and age. What is more critical is that you stay learning, stay relevant, keep learning, be flexible in methods, and have firmness in values. All right? Then strategic thinking simply deals with seeing the big picture. Like I said, always have a big picture in mind. uh, Before fighting the people on site, what is my listen, you can prove that you are wrong, you are right. Lose a 5 million project. Or you can try to see the big picture, sit down with people, reason with them until you get to align and get these things going. So you need to have that sort of mindset that sees the vision. You need to also align.
First step once.
You need to align your daily actions to your long-term goals, anticipate challenges before they arrive. Think like an owner, not just an employee. All right. So, like I said, even if right now you are a volunteer somewhere, you are an intern somewhere, take it upon yourself to be thinking like an owner. When you're thinking like an owner, you find yourself, and I think there's a story of a guy who worked his way into partnerships with one of the top investors in the olden days. The guy came, he was doing a simple task, but he was always thinking like he's the owner. All right. So the world does not wait. Those who adapt who are the ones who make progress. So in the era of AI disruption, we are living, like I said, we'll come to a time, like I was giving an example of the architects. We'll come to a time when you can just feed a machine, a robot, you give it, okay, these are the coordinates using GIS, this is my size of my plot, this is what I'm trying to do. You give it a brief. It's able to design something that sits on that site. It's able to do the BOQs. It's able to do the structural analysis. It's able to do all that. All right. The truth is, you can either say, no, but this AI is going to make people lose jobs. Any technological advancement makes people lose jobs. But those who learn the technology become even more relevant and make more progress. So collaborative mindset, which is my last concept, and I'm just gonna take 2 minutes on this. So you need to know that you cannot go far working in a silo. Part of my research at the moment is also dealing with a concept called systems thinking, where I'm trying to show relationship between different things. So lone wolves don't build legacies, ecosystems. So right now we need ecosystems. One of the reasons why I'm here on the Friday forum when I could be doing other things is that because I know that even through these interactions, right? I mean, most of you are graduate engineers, some of you are still students and things like that. But guess what? The fact that I'm in your face, the fact that you're listening to my voice, the day you hear an opportunity that aligns with what I'm doing, you are likely to say, oh, but let me try to ask if that man is interested. Collaboration is one of the ways that you unlock your future. So build your network intentionally. Again, don't burn bridges, build bridges. Like yesterday, I had to, this morning, like I said, I was not happy with one of the people that I've done, but this morning I called the person and I apologized. I said it to be the bigger person, not because he was 100%. Yes, he had some points, and I also felt I had some points. But I look at the bigger picture more than just me being right. Don't don't be scattered. Build intentionally your network. Building your network intentionally. This is one of the other things I always tell people. Don't be a person that maybe only checks on people when you want something. So be somebody who connect with people, who challenge and expand you. Give before you get. Create value for others first. Contribution precedes reputation. Generosity is a strategy. One of the things that I can tell you for now is that me, I'm a very generous person. No one, even if no one ever tells you that, I'll tell you that I'm a very generous person. If I take a person that is well-to-do, more doing better than I am, there's one engineer who runs a bigger company, has been running his company bigger than I have. The first time I had the privilege of meeting him for lunch, I paid for the lunch. Why? Because every other person that person meets, they want to take from him. So you need to understand that there are some seeds you sow by just being generous, by creating value for others, not just by thinking, oh, what can I benefit from this person? What can I ask yourself, what can I add to this person? Then cross-functional collaboration, like I said, in your career, in your development, you're going to work with people that are not from your field. Sometimes you need a banker, you need a lawyer, you need this, you need that, you need. Don't be a person. And I've seen that there are some people who have got this very mature mindset where they think that, oh, it's just engineers who matter, or it's just these people who matter. The truth is, there are engineers who are struggling when they can be an accountant who can come and solve all your problems. I told you, I was personally fighting, and I remember one time a 60,000 kwacha being cut from another payment that we had. And it pained me because these just simple penalties that could have been avoided. And by then we are a much smaller company. So 60,000 could have paid wages for some time and it was just cut like that. But we got in a person who understands what do you call this, returns and things like that. I actually received the message from ZRI the other day. They were saying, no, we want to appreciate your compliance and this and this and this. Like they were just talking about that. How did that happen? It didn't happen because I don't know everything. I need to work cross function. So break the silos. Don't just be, even if you're a civil engineer, right? Trust me, when you start running your firm or you're running your consultancy, you're going to need an electrical engineer. When you're doing certain level of projects, you cannot do them alone. You need to know different people, people from the social sciences, people from the natural sciences, people from this. You have to, in conclusion, you have to start from level one, which is your first job, your entry level, you are still a student. Here, be faithful and build your foundation. Level two is the recognized stage where your communication and your attitude will determine a whole lot about you. All right. Then from there, we have and attitude. I think even Engineer Chabla talked about attitude. There are certain people that, just by the way they act, I've got one guy, I don't know if he's on this platform. Now, allow me to share this. Uh, Running a project somewhere very far in a period that my mother was very sick and she passed on in January. Things were not okay on that particular side, and we're not being paid and things like that. But one particular young guy impressed me so much. He's a student at CB. He decided to stay on until I was stable from the funeral, from the things and things like that. He stayed on. That's attitude. In that moment, the guy didn't just think about what can I benefit, what can I want. I'll tell you something. This is a guy that up to now, even if when he's not working, I've taught the guys at the office, let's make sure that we're paying him. So I was actually asking about his payment, whether he has been paid, which payments he has not been paid, and things like that. He's gone back to school, but we are still paying him. I even told him to say, you, when you're done, you have a job with me. He can decide to take it or decide to, what attitude? One of the, and now allow me also to just speak, say it as I'm seeing it. One of the biggest problem we are having with people in this new generation of either whether you're engineers, business people, what poor attitude, entitled attitudes, um, carelessness. People can talk anyhow. People can just do anything they want to do. It's not gonna take you far. It's gonna keep you plateaued at a certain level. All right. Level three is your leadership and thinking. All right. You begin to think leadership. You need to think. You are doing critical thinking. You are doing problem solving. That means you're advancing in your to your potential. Level 4 is influential, where you collaborate, you strategize, you are more strategic, you are more of a vision carrier. Part of my work now as a CEO, especially this year, has been to begin to think more strategically. I'm trying to get away from the normal day-to-day operations to being more strategic. That is, I'm studying more about vision. How do I carry out the vision? We've just done our new company profile. And one of the things that I've added in the company profile this year is what we're calling the CEO leadership insights. I want people within our team, people that are going to join the team, and people that we are trying to get work with to understand what we are about. That's my goal. All right. So you can move into that. It's not legacy. It's more about transferring. So I'm doing a bit of legacy thing where I'm here sharing my journey, sharing. That's part of legacy. But yet I'm not yet fully there. So of course, at a certain level, you can operate. You're at this level, but you're still. You mean you are in your first job, but you're still able to talk to your grade 12s. All right. So please be exceptional at your current job or whatever season you find yourself in. Communicate with clarity and intentionality every day. Lead from where you are. Titles will come afterwards. Solve problems, don't just report them. Build your network before you need it. Build your network before you need it. Trust me, there are things I'm doing currently. There are people that I'm there are some people that I want to network with in the next few years. But I'm already creating a platform. Simple things. The other day I gave out we've got some small equipment, compactors. I gave out a compactor for free to a person that I've never gone to ask anything for, but I know that there'll be a day when me and that person will meet and they'll be able to remember to say, this is a person who did this and this and this. So think strategically, think long term, be a visionary person, even from a place where you are. Thank you so much for your time. I hope this session has been worthwhile. I've tried to be as calm and present as possible. So we can go to the next session, which is the questions. I can take on the questions. And sorry, we have taken longer than, yeah, but it was, I want to presume it was worth it.
Yes, it was actually.
So any questions?
Um, Hello, sir.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir, for this delivery. It was very, very timely, and a lot has been said. Quite a lot has been said, and we are highly grateful. We don't take this opportunity lightly, because we know such information is what people are paying actually out there. People are paying for such mentorship programs. So you coming on board and speaking to us like this is something that we don't take lightly. We are very, very grateful. And the promise that we can give you is that we are growing, and we shall surely become better professionals. So thank you so much, sir.
No, I'm also grateful to be part of the journey of people that are growing.
Thank you, sir. So from the audience, if there's any questions, please you can fill in the chat box, and or you can unmute your mic if you're in a conducive place, and the sir will be able to talk to you.
Okay, good evening, sir. I don't know if you can get me clear.
I can get you loud and clear.
Yes, for me, yeah, I'm also grateful for the insight that you are giving us as new engineers. So now I'm just asking, like, if you have the soft copies for those books, especially like those we were saying last time, or maybe any other books that can help us more. If you have some a soft copy or the recommended books that you are saying last time, that you can maybe give us the names, then we can try to check on those books, or maybe if you have them, you can share. Yeah, I'm asking if you can share with us. Thank
All
you.
right, not that's not a problem. I'll be able to share at least with engineer Simon, and then we can, yeah, I think I'll be able to compile a list, and of course anything that I have, we'll be able to share it as well. I know that Simon has been requesting for my a construction technology book that I've been working on. We are still working on the putting in the illustrations and figures and drawings. So that's something that we are still working on. Once that is done, we'll make it available on different platforms. I didn't want to rush it, so bear with me. But of course, I will send a list of recommended books that can help you. And if I have any soft copies as well, I'll be sharing. I hope that I know that your emails and everything I think when you're doing your registrations, you have those so you can or access them. Yeah.
All right, sir. Thanks.
Hi, sir. I would like to ask a question if you don't mind.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask how you would position yourself in your early career to communicate in a strategic way to get recognized by management and also your peers around you so that you have a good launchpad to your career, especially at the beginning stages.
All right. So that's a very good question. And I think I highlighted that if I could turn back the hands of time, there are many things I would do better. And unfortunately, I don't think that I did them well at the very beginning. And I think over time, I can tell you that I have also lost opportunities. I've lost relationships. I've lost businesses because I did not understand what was needed in the first part of my class. So how would I position myself even to communicate with clarity? So the first thing that I think I would like you to become is be an active listener. Be a better listener, be more observant. All right. So, like I said, when you are meeting with your superiors, you're meeting with your peers, listen more than you talk. All right. Such that when you talk, what you are contributing to the conversation is actually very useful. So, you start from there. So, you listen more, you observe more, you think through things, and I think I also said that there's a need to shift from, let me put it this way, you shift from emotional thinking to strategic thinking. So strategic thinking means that you are more long term. You are seeing trying to see the big picture in every scenario. Of course, you will not earn the trust of your superiors, like complete trust from the number one. You have to keep earning it. How do you earn it? By repeatedly being consistent in your character and in your delivery of results. All right. So when you're listening more, you begin to see what we call the pain points of your organization. You begin to understand the pain points of your leaders. So if let's say your leader is always complaining that reports take long to be delivered in this, I ask for a report, it will take a report that's supposed to take 2 days, will take 7 days, it will take 2 weeks, what's going on and things like that. So when you are in meetings, you're just not listening. So no, this one shouted at this person, but what is the cause? What is I don't know if you're getting what I'm saying, but you start from that perspective. The second thing that I'll say is humility. All right. Humility will take you very far. Now, humility doesn't mean being quiet. Humility means that you are a person that recognizes that you can learn from everyone that you meet. Somebody said that every person you meet is a master at something you do not know. So you need to respect them. That's humility. So being in the construction or being in technology or being in engineering, you're gonna work with people that are less qualified than you are, but they still know something. All right. So the fundamental thing in the future, what we are trying to go into is a future towards collaboration. It's a future of self-empowered teams. It's a future of people that are emotionally intelligent. So be humble, be open, and be very observant. I think that's the best advice I can give. I hope I've
Thank you so
answered that.
much. Yes, you have. Thank you.
I think my colleague is having a problem with network. So is there any
Okay.
question? Yeah, is there any question?
I can see somebody's asking for my email.
Oh yeah.
Can I get your email to ask you questions during the week? Okay, right now, my email is not the best place to ask me questions in the sense I need to reset my payment systems tomorrow. Uh, yeah, so I pay for Google Workspace. Unfortunately, there was a problem with my payment systems over the week. Somebody tried to hijack something, and yeah, because of that, I had to cancel my cards. So, but you can still reach me on my WhatsApp. If that's fine, you can reach me on my WhatsApp and I will be able to respond when I can. Please understand if I don't respond to you very quickly, I'm not ignoring you. I just have a whole lot going on. Like I said, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm not only in the construction space, now I've gotten into the real estate space, and we are also in the agriculture space. So, doing that and living my normal life. Um, yeah, so it's saying you are interested more into the systems part. That's good. I can be able to share even my research with you. Yeah, but for now you can get my WhatsApp, and then I'll be able to give you. Oh, I just where's my company email? Unless I get my company email. No, but no, I don't want to give my company email for that. It's strictly business there. So yeah, you'll get my number and then we can chat. I'll give you the email once I recover it tomorrow or just during the week. So please, I'm not ignoring you. I'm just saying we can use the platform for now and then I'll be able to attend to you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Do we have okay, there's a comment. Um there's a question. I am an I'm an agricultural engineering student. I would love to know how I can better position myself and see the outside world.
All right, that's a good question. Now, one thing that I'll say on that is first and foremost, like I said, personal branding. Start branding yourself as an expert or a future expert in your particular field. All right, that means not just the look, but study, get to know the foundational aspects of your profession. Number two is what I talked about, networking. So networking will also allow you to be exposed to the world and also the world to be exposed to you. All right. So when they are here in Zambia, of course, if you are on LinkedIn, there are different platforms. There are different organizations that hold different events. For example, because like I said, I'm in the agriculture space, there's a particular company that held some sipping and painting thing the other day. I didn't attend it. But there's this seed company and they also provide irrigation systems and things like that. I've bought some of their seed before. We grew their cucumbers, very nice things. All right. So such events also allows you to don't just also so attend professional events, But don't just be restricted to events that just deal with your particular field. Don't build yourself in such a way that you are looking to collaborate, to interact, to mix with people, um, to be mixed with people that are beyond your field. That's what I'm trying to say. So I've seen you've added, say, can you give me hints of diversity of agriculture engineering, or is it just a restricted field of to agriculture things, or it goes beyond? Now, again, I can speak a little bit about this because one of my close friends, who I think spoke to this platform last Friday, Engineer Chabala, is did agriculture engineering. Is working as a catchment manager for WAMA, more into hydrology. Right now, any engineering field, not just any engineering field, anything you study today is it opens up a world of possibilities. Again, in my agriculture journey, the person that I listen to and motivate and learn a lot from is a person that is a medical doctor by profession, but now is an expert in agriculture. He's literally not stopped practicing agriculture, medicine. Is a full-time agriculture person. So the key thing that I will keep saying to you is, first and foremost, begin to develop a vision, a picture of the future you want. Number two is brand yourself according to that future. Number three is go to professional events. Join, if you're not on LinkedIn, be on LinkedIn. Look out for events that are dealing with, because there are events, for example, that bring agriculture experts and financiers, bankers into one space. Most big banks have got a section that deals with agriculture. So let's say, for example, you're studying agriculture engineering, but your interest is more on financing. Your interest is more on entrepreneurship. You being in platforms where they're talking about financing and things like that, it will open a lot of possibilities for you. I hope that is helpful to you. Otherwise, there is no restriction. A person can study today, study with civil engineer, and I think again a good example is the managing director of this big bank, Sunny Zulu. From what I know, is a mining engineer, but he's the CEO of a bank. So that should tell you that there are no restrictions. And if for engineers particularly, I must tell you that your professions are very transferable. Your problem solving skills, your critical thinking is highly applied in different things. So even in the world of agriculture, I must tell you that the world of agriculture is very broad. The little businesses that I'm doing in agriculture has taught me and exposed me to different things. All right. So I don't want you to restrict yourself. Be a person that is very open-minded.
I
I
hope
think
your question has been answered, Mr. Brian. Oh, he appreciates. He says, thanks a lot. Okay. Your response has been very helpful, sir. I'm sure he's gained some clarity. Do we have any other question from the audience? Uh, Brian is asking another question. He says, "How please, if you want to get to know more about Engineer Chulumanda, you can follow him on LinkedIn. Yeah, his bio is on our Facebook page. It's on our LinkedIn page, The Street Engineer. He just mentioned earlier that he's open for discussions on that platform. So you do well to follow him on LinkedIn and get personal questions with him. Yes, please. Do we have any other question? So I've posted a link in the chat for those who have not yet joined our our WhatsApp group. We have created a WhatsApp group where we send daily updates of what we are doing and what we are looking forward to. So please, if you haven't joined that WhatsApp group, do to join us. I've just posted the link in the chat box so that you do not miss any of our future events. Do well to join our WhatsApp group. And if you have a question, please raise your hand or put it in the chat box. Okay, I think the silence means people have understood. So once again, engineers, sir, we are very, very grateful for today's session. Today's session has been unique. It felt like, listening to Vusi Tembekwayo or Maxwell. It was very, very insightful. It went beyond engineering and most importantly, beyond the classroom. So the team at the Street Engineer Friday Forum, actually, we are, just like you have advised, we are still refining our strategy as we are trying to raise more brand awareness. We are refining our strategy so that we see to it that we are not only engineers coming on board, because like the information that you have shared today, this is not just about engineers. It's about every career person, every person that is hungry for growth, irrespective of the profession, what they did in school. So we are working on our strategy and we want to make sure that we have different people coming on board. So your business acumen in today's presentation has been really, really helpful, and we've gotten the most from this. And be rest assured, sir, we are coming back for more advice, for more nuggets from you. All in all, we are very, very grateful.
So much for having me as well, and I'm truly grateful to be part of this journey, and you are always welcome.
Sure, sure. So do we have, I think we have a question. Okay, I think this marks the end of today's session until we meet again next week. So we'll be announcing our speaker for the next session, probably Sunday or Monday. So watch out for that and join our WhatsApp group. Don't miss any updates. Follow us on LinkedIn and Facebook and YouTube at The Street Engineer so you don't miss out. Thank you so much, everyone who has attended, and I wish to see you again in the next session. Have a blessed night.